On this episode, we're ranking all of the boat rides located in both Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando, while also giving our thoughts on Tiana's Bayou adventure. Today's June 18th, 2024, and this is episode 677 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey, guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. You can also find us on TikTok at MSM Podcast. And if you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. And if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, you get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. If you're planning a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World, you did not get the advanced dining reservations that you so desperately wanted, don't worry, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service.
So on today's episode, we are ranking all the boat rides through Disney World and Universal because we just finished writing the brand new Tiana's Bayou adventure this past weekend.
Yeah, we're fresh off the preview,
Yeah.
the Annual Passholder previews.
And literally,
yeah,
we'll talk about that here in a little
my
bit.
shorts are still wet a little bit.
So are mine.
Yeah,
Are
so...
wait, really? You
No.
didn't change?
No, I have these 32-degree cool shorts I got.
Maybe I need
that
to get
actually dry
something.
really quick.
I had a dress on.
Yeah, that was not a cotton dress, so it was not going to dry quick.
No.
But we'll talk more about the preview when
Yep.
we get to where Tiana's Bayou Adventure ranks on our list.
Yeah.
So we always do this. When we do these rankings like this, we include Universal Orlando and we do Walt Disney World, just to give you some comparisons and all of that. So let's just start off. We have 13 total boat rides. So these are we're not doing anything from the water parks because Krakatoa would possibly win at Volcano Bay.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or
That
the
is
Crushing Gusher coasters over at Typhoon Lagoon are freaking awesome. So we're not including anything that's at the water parks, but we are including 4 Disney parks and the 2 over, of course, at Universal. So we've got 13 total. Let's just start with number 13. And it's almost like an honorable mention because this is one of those, like, what's the difference between a ride and an attraction? You know what I mean? Like, this is an attraction on a moving boat, but what is it?
It is over at Magic Kingdom, the Liberty Square Riverboat. That is back. That is running because it was down for a while and everything, which is super cool because when it came back, I don't know if we ever rode it before.
Yeah, maybe
so
once.
when it did, we rode it. I think the coolest part is a lot of people don't know that it is actually on a track underneath all that water.
Yeah.
It's super cool when it was being fixed and whatever because, you know, they were draining it out and seeing that. But it's just a super cute little, I mean, you get on this boat, you ride around and you can see Tom Sawyer's Island and you see Big Thunder Mountain and now Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And it's just a cute little fun ride, you know?
Yeah, it's again, nobody's gonna. You don't consider this a ride. You consider it an attraction. There's nothing much more to it, but it is a lot of fun.
It's
You've got
enjoyable.
all the different decks, and I think it's cool. And around the edge and backside of Big Thunder Mountain in that area, they have some of those additional animatronics and scenes. You know, the scenery and kind of like sets almost that are along the river there, and you pass Haunted Mansion, and it's fine. It's just, you know, it's one of those that it's not on anybody's list to do.
No, but if you haven't done it, it's cute.
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, it's almost like, you know, going back to those unfortunately Disney one and done situations. It's one and done, but it's super cute to do it.
Yeah.
If you've never done it.
Yeah. But not a lot of incentive to ride it. But let's move on to number 12. What is our number 12?
We are going to go over to Epcot and Grand Fiesta Tour.
We did that this weekend.
We actually did. I think I put this one because, like, well, first of all, it's in Mexico, in that pavilion. and San Angel restaurant is right there, and you go right past it, and it's super cool. But it's a great little fun ride. It's just enjoyable to me. It's not something that I'm like, I want to ride it every time. Honestly, with as hot as it is outside, it's almost kind of like, ooh, what can we do that's inside cool and just a little relaxing? It's very relaxing.
It's perfect for that. And when we were walking through Epcot that day, because it's so brutally hot, and you're starting to think of what are there to do at parks sometimes. And, we're at Epcot going, all right, what do we want to ride? Okay. Maybe this ride is at 50 minutes and this one's at 60 and this one's at 40. And, I wish there were more Grand Fiesta tours. Everybody, when a new attraction comes or they redo an attraction or whatever, everybody wants these big e-ticket, top build. Everybody wants Coco to go in here. 100% understandable. That would be amazing. It would stink? Having to wait forever to ride it any time. I wish that Epcot specifically had more things like this that you could do that are always a low wait time.
Yeah.
If this is more than 15 minutes on the busiest day, you're pretty surprised.
And then if it is, then you're like, holy moly, it's busy.
It's crazy busy, but there's not enough of that, because by the time we finished and we're walking back around World Showcase, we're actually heading to American Adventure, and we had some time to kill before that show was going to start. And I was like, I would love to just be able to walk into something right now here and, from basically, and not like a show like Reflections of China or, but anywhere from there all the way back around to like America and going into Morocco. That was just something else just to go do the way that you can Grand Fiesta. So again, it's something you can do, and it's cute. I think inside it's typical Donald, in my opinion.
Love Donald, but he's supposed to be at this thing, and then he just takes forever to get there. I mean, he ends up there in the end, but they're looking for him the whole time. So it's just
it's perfect for this space. And you put Coco in here, and it's going to be a complete nightmare. So that's I like, keep this. Don't let it go anywhere.
Coco would be cool,
I know it would, but every park needs some of these, and they need more of these, because all they need more Journey of Water with Moanas. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a great addition to Epcot, and we'll talk more about the Epcot on the next episode when we review, and we'll talk Communicore Hall and all that. But I want more of these. So moving on to number 11 is very similar. We just prefer this over. And honestly, if there weren't so many good boat rides, this would go up much higher. I mean, this would be ranked better.
Yeah, and so we're staying at Epcot, obviously, and we are going over to Living with the Land. And the reason I feel like that on mine it goes higher is because, I mean, it's just so cool to see. I think because, too, I've always wanted to have a green thumb. I just don't feel like I do, and it's just so educational. I just got our pineapple, though, so that's interesting. Yeah,
we'll see out of it.
We'll see. We'll see if it tastes good. We'll see if it's good. I hope I didn't pick it too soon. I just kind of it broke off, so I was like, well, and nothing got it. No animals.
Probably if it's underripe, I'm sure you could just turn it into a smoothie or frozen. You can make some Dole Whip. Homemade Dole Whip. Well,
anyways, I just love Living with the Land because it's just so educational, and it just really gets you back to the roots, no pun intended, of like America. And when, and like we'll talk about Epcot, and Jeremy did get me into America Adventure.
Yes.
And I mean, just where that's what they did a long time ago. And I just think that's so cool. And I think so many things are like they grew things, and
you
had
to grow things.
I know.
Growing them right there.
I know, but yeah, it's different.
It does show you more of kind of the development of it and going through the process before you get to the greenhouse area. But again, this is one where normally it's not a long wait. It's accessible. This is a great add-on to when you're riding Soarin', before or after. Right there in the Land Pavilion, it has the true essence of what Epcot began as and was for so long, as it's kind of veering much more away from a lot of that edutainment. Education and entertainment. Edutainment. and it's veering away from some of that, and we still have this.
Yeah.
And it's one that I think will be safe for a very long time.
I hope so.
You know, which is great. And the fact they are even using some of those products.
Yeah.
You know,
I love it.
Between the produce and all the different plants and the, you know, fish and things like that actually within the parks. It's just really cool.
It is.
So, and this is one of those cult-like followings, you know.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people love this more than anything. So, let's
kinda
move on to number 10, which is at number 10 because I think it has a huge flaw. But what is it? What are we talking about?
And we are going over to Animal Kingdom and Kelly River Rapids.
It's so short. I just think that everything up until the drop, which is all your build up, is so short that it doesn't have enough time to build it up.
Okay.
By the time you drop, you go through a couple of those rapids, it's kind of over. The front end of the ride is super boring, I think. I just, like, to me, the queue is almost better than the ride. Let's just say the payoff's not there. No,
Okay.
yes. If I walk past this and it's under 15 minutes, I will get on it every time and I enjoy it. And Lacey and I have a ton of memories on this ride because we would ride it and you and Kaylin would sit out because you didn't want to get wet. I absolutely love this ride. But it has a fault of like a Tron. I wish it was longer.
Yeah.
I like it so much that I wish I could get more of it. But I think that's its biggest, you know, the way where it fails is it's just short. It's 5 minutes long.
Okay.
Which in general, if you had a 5-minute roller coaster, awesome. 5 minutes for something like this.
Yeah, I started to say,
you know?
5 minutes is.
And I don't even know what are you timed at going up that initial incline before it dumps you. That's probably a minute of it right there.
Huh.
I mean, this thing feels like it's over in an instant.
Yeah.
So that's why it's, and we'll talk about a very similar ride later.
I do want to ride it again, especially with how hot it is outside, and
we ought to work that into the next one, even just to go over and ride that, because I feel like you haven't in a long time. And
I haven't.
It's gone through some downtimes and some refurbs and some stuff, so it's, you know, I want to get back on it, but I wish it was longer. So it's almost like that's it. Again, I have nothing negative to say, truly, except that it's not long enough.
Because you get wet.
Yeah, everything about it's great.
Yeah.
It's a classic River Rapids ride that just ends too soon.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to number 9. And I will say again, when we do the list, and we'll give you our reasons and stuff, what we think, and many people might agree with our list, they might not.
Yeah.
This has a lot of our personal preference involved.
Yes.
Number 9. It's a Small World at Magic Kingdom. Some people will think, number 9, are you kidding me? That's my top 3 boat ride. Some people might think like us, who originally were like, we'll put it at like number 12. Like we can't put it, we can't put Liberty Square Riverboat ahead of it. So
right.
And then I was like, we really got to give it a fair share. It's a wonderful ride. It is absolute classic Disney. It is Walt Disney, Mary Blair. Like, it is amazing. But we don't want to do it.
Only if we have your mom.
Yeah. I mean, we've done
mom.
it a ton of times, and it is great. This is one of those things that, while it is such a classic, and I know that people would be in such an uproar if they did anything with it, which I do understand, it's just one of those where I'm like, has it run its course?
I don't know. Part of me says yes, but part of me says no, because it is iconic. I don't know.
Well, what I wonder is how many people that have not been to Disney World are coming here, and that's at the top of their list, or did they even know the history behind it?
Right.
At this point, I'm thinking of somebody who all of a sudden is a family in just say, in their 20s, who have a 2-year-old. Do they know? I mean, do people in their 20s know the history of It's a Small World,
right?
And the World's Fair, and Disneyland, and here, and who Mary Blair is, and you know what I mean? So I don't know, and I think so much of this ride relies on knowing those things. Knowing the history of it, knowing the nostalgia, knowing how classic it is, as opposed to people that might not know any of that history, that just kind of go through and are just like, oh, remember when we rode Rise of Resistance yesterday? This is what Magic Kingdom has to offer. You know what I mean? I just don't know that they can appreciate it the way that they should.
Yeah.
Because
What
it should
would
be
you put there,
appreciated.
though?
Tangled. Yeah. I mean, we're in, Fantasyland. You put Tangled in there.
Okay.
So a Tangled boat ride is a no-brainer.
Right.
So you can do a new Tangled story or pull over from the new Fantasy Springs. I mean, whatever you needed to do, but I think that fits, because that's the thing now we've talked about before is It's a Small World doesn't even belong within the land that it exists anymore. It's the only outlier there, really. I mean, yeah, it is. Even Philhar Magic finds its way into it with some of the content inside Philhar Magic.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just something that doesn't even technically fit within the space anymore.
Right.
But I don't think it ever goes anywhere. I mean, I think it's one of the original things that will stay original. But I don't know that people are coming and are like, It's a Small World. Listen, we gotta rope drop It's a Small World.
I mean, unless you got grandparents
I've heard
with
so
you.
much about it. Right. But that's what I'm saying is I think at this point, the generations are moving beyond this. And it doesn't have, personally, I don't think it has the same that a Haunted Mansion does. Let's talk about our Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, if you talk about a lot of the other stuff that has been around for so long,
Right.
you can appreciate those a lot more because they can live on their own within that ride, that it doesn't hold up with It's a Small World. I feel like you need all that external information in this day and age to appreciate It's a Small World.
I'll agree with
you
that.
don't to go into Haunted Mansion.
Right.
You know nothing about Haunted Mansion. You could not know when it opened, how long it's been around, if it's an original idea, whatever. You know nothing. And I think it can hold your attention, and it can be something that you love, whereas It's a Small World is just not going to do the same thing without that external info.
Okay.
So that's my thought on it. But with all of
You got
that,
good thoughts.
we're gonna go down the street to our number 8.
And yes, Islands of Adventure, and we are Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls. This one's fun, but Jeremy made some good points before we started, because I really liked this one, because I finally got to write it, because
we got rained out many times.
We not only got rained out, but I felt like we always were in the cooler months where I'm like,
so you just didn't even try.
And Jeremy would tell me that these rides at the Universal you get sopping wet, like to the bone, where like everything you have on is wet. Yeah. So I never wanted to do these. So I did do Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls. I really enjoyed it because I was with my family, and it is a flume ride like Tiana's Bayou now. And I liked it because I was with them, but if it was just me and you, and then there was other people, like, it is a little weird because
it's a great. I'll tell you this: numbers 8 through 5 were extremely hard to put in any order whatsoever for us.
Yeah, and
numbers 4 through 1 were very, very hard for us to put in any order. And these top 8, I think, are all outstanding boat water rides.
Right,
they're really hard to. You could interchange and move a lot of these around.
I agree.
This one is, it's a lot of fun. It's carnival-esque.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It feels, I don't know how to say it, in the best way possible, it feels like a cheap ride.
Yeah.
But in a really good, like, carnival way. It almost makes you a little nervous. Like, and I think it's great. In the end, there's 7 other boat rides that we just felt were better. But it is a lot of fun. You're going to get wet. That last drop, takes that traditional straight down flume, like a Tiana's, like a river adventure, which we'll talk about in a bit. And it gives you that up and down, that it's almost like a coaster drop.
Yep.
All in water.
Yep.
It's got the bridge overlooking it where people can get splashed as you stand there. It's a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this ride. The inside is very cramped. I will say that when you're in the interior queue, on the ride, inside portions are very cramped, and you're in a single file in this boat, which doesn't have a lot of interior lining and stuff. So, like, if I'm sitting, the person in front of me, I'm going to have my legs on both sides of them, much like you were almost in a raft ride on, like, Krakatoa or Crush and Gusher. You're very intimate.
Right.
in
And
this
that's why I
thing.
was saying, like, it's better if it's with a family, which, you know.
Yeah, if you're pairing up with people you don't know, I think that part could be a little uncomfortable because you'll be touching them, which sometimes is a little odd. But let's move on to number 7. Speaking of Jurassic Park River Adventure at Islands of Adventure.
Yeah.
This is number 7.
Yes, it is. I like this one. It's super
great.
cute.
Yeah.
With like all the dinosaurs. Cute. It's super cute.
Okay.
I think I'm surprised you don't get wet before the actual like major drop. There's a few things that you can kind of get a little damp, I guess. But then I'm like, well, I don't know. Part of me is like glad because sometimes I don't want to be that wet. I don't know. But yeah, and then you got the just big old drop, which is super funny because we learned that back when it was Splash Mountain with Lacey. This is actually a lot higher drop.
Yeah,
or
it is.
longer
I think,
drop.
if I remember, this has about 20 to 30 feet, I think, longer than Tiana's drop.
Yep.
And it's not your traditional flume drop because it is this much larger vehicle. What are you sitting? I think 4 across.
Oh, it is much larger.
You know, I mean, there's a lot more people in it. This could totally go higher. It's a great, fun, exciting ride. The animatronics are wonderful. The big T-Rex at the end, right before that drop, it is a great place to cool off. This is one of those where wait times never get super out of hand.
Yeah.
I will say, wait times for this are always worth it.
Yeah,
the wait
and
time
I think
is always worth this ride. If it's a 60-minute wait time, which we often did not see it ever above that and was normally below it, I think it's worth an hour wait easy.
Yeah. I will say,
there.
too, this is the only ride I do feel like that is wet that you don't get completely drenched.
No,
there
you
are
do not.
some, like, I'd come out of it. Sometimes I'd ride this and come out of it
especially if you're
little wet.
Middle row, middle seat. You know, you're not, everybody in front of you is going to take more of the brunt of the splashes and all of that, but it's an outstanding ride.
Super fun.
Let's move on then to number 6. We'll head back to Disney World.
Yep. And we'll go to Animal Kingdom and Navi River Journey. I think this one, because it's just so, I think the reason it's higher is because it's so pretty.
Yeah, it is.
And the animatronics and just the screens, like there's a screen, and every time I'm still trying to figure out, and I think I've figured out that it looks like it's coming down a waterfall, but I think it's the screen, and it literally is, the real part is literally just bubbling up.
Yeah,
there.
they do a lot of that with the projection.
It is crazy though, because it doesn't, like, there's been sometimes I'm staring at it and I'm like, no, wait, I think it is part. I don't think it's bubbly. I think it's actually coming. Yeah. So anyways, I love this ride. I think it's just stunning.
It is. It is absolutely stunning.
Yeah. You don't get wet. It's just a nice little ride through. It's cool. And the animatronic is
it's still the best animatronic that we have in Walt Disney World.
Yes.
I wouldn't put anything that we've received since above it.
I'll agree.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
And it says this ride it's beautiful. It's, you don't have to know anything to just go in and just enjoy. And those big, I'll just call them caterpillars. I don't know what they are in Navi, but those big caterpillars when they're climbing around the log, that's another one where I'm like,
the centipedes.
Oh, yeah, the centipedes. I'm just like, that's a projection.
That's crazy.
It looks 3D. It look like I'm not wearing It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's another one of those that, re-ride ability probably isn't that high in general unless you truly just want to take everything in, because you're going to notice new things every time you go.
Yeah.
And you're going to notice little just nuances. I mean, even down to things like the 6-legged frogs that are jumping above you on those pedals.
Yeah.
And you can see their shadows through it. Like, just all those little touches and little details I think are amazing. Now, this is one that I think strategically using a Genie Plus Lightning Lane can be worth it, or catching it early, looking for lower wait times. It
is short.
45 minutes, I would probably top out on waiting
right
for it. We used to say about 30, but I don't think that's even giving it enough credit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another one of those. I think when people get out of it and go, well, that was so short. I don't think it's truly because it's too short as much as it is that they enjoyed it enough. They wanted to see more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some people might just be like, that was too short and I didn't like it. And that's fine if you don't.
Right.
But I think for a lot of people, like, yeah, that was really cool, but it's too short. You're going, right, because it was really cool.
Yeah.
You want more of what you like, and that's what you're trying to go after. So, all right, let's move on to number 5, which is our guaranteed, without a doubt, wettest ride on this list.
And I don't think I've ridden it.
It is absurd.
And we are going back over to Universal, and we are going to Islands of Adventure, and this is Popeye and Bluto's
Bilge Rat Barges.
Bilge
Rat.
I'm like,
barges.
say that 5 times fast.
I am not going to.
I don't think I've ridden this one.
Yeah.
I think we were going to, but with rain and stuff, I missed out on this one.
I rode it with Kaylin during her 5th grade trip.
Yes, you did.
Drenched to the bone. I mean,
like, don't you go under a waterfall that literally
many of them, and I mean, it's one of those. It's 7 minutes long. Okay, so it's only 2 minutes longer than Cali River Rapids.
But it's the same.
I would think
ride
that
vehicle?
it was 2 to 3 times as. Honestly, if somebody had asked me, I would have said Cali River Rapids was like 2 or 3 minutes, and I would have said this is somewhere between 10 to 12. It feels like a long ride
because you get wet so many times.
I guess so, and it's very unassuming as you go up to it how big it is. Like, I remember going through it and thinking, all right, we're done. And then you come around a corner and you're like, no, there's more. And you come around another corner, you're like, there's still more. And you will just laugh the entire time because not everybody's getting wet all at once. And it still has, now there are moments where that entire boat is getting wet, but on a lot of the lead ups, it doesn't appear that way. It appears more like Cali River Rapids, where you could be on one side of the boat and be drenched. You could be on the other side and be almost virtually dry. So as this is going and you're seeing things that are coming, you're going like, oh, Rhonda's in that seat. She's going to get wet. And everybody starts laughing at Rhonda. And then maybe the last minute, the boat bumps and flips and I get wet. But you get to a point in the ride where you're thinking, this is over. I didn't get wet. And then that's not going to end that way. So yeah, I love it. When we end up in with a park day at Universal sometime again, we gotta do it.
Okay.
It is fun. It's just one of the, you will laugh. Now, I would plan accordingly around doing this ride. Like, not even kidding. With changes of clothes, it's going to be when you then break to go back to your resort. It's like, plan. Because if you wait for the end of the day and you have a drive home, anything like, or you do it in the beginning of the day and then you got to be there all day and just soaking wet clothes. And you would think, oh, well, you're in Florida and it's like right now, you're in Florida, it's summer, it's hot out. It's just going to dry you off. No, it doesn't work that way because it's so humid. Your clothes
wet.
just hold on to the
wetness.
Right. And then it's uncomfortable. So,
and then you go inside and you're freezing.
Yeah. So I would plan, even if it's bringing something and, renting lockers or doing those types of things, like just be prepared. All right. We are into our top 4. This was very, very hard for us, but what is number 4?
And we are going back over to Epcot. We are going to stay now at Walt Disney World for the rest of them. And we are going to Frozen Ever After. I love this one.
It's one of our favorites.
It's so fun.
There just happens to be 3 that we think are better than it. That's all.
It was Maelstrom, which people remember. I honestly don't. I love this, and I love Frozen, and I love Olaf, and I love warm hugs.
And again, the biggest fault of this one is projection faces, which when they first started, it was like, whoa, animatronics can really have facial features now.
Right.
And it was great. And then you saw what was possible, with what they're doing overseas. And even now with Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and you're like, oh, projection faces, these are bad. But it's fun. It's something I think everybody can love. And I think it's another one of those, like, we got a reskin of a ride. And I think if you can put that behind you, for everybody that loved Maelstrom, just go ahead and put it behind you and say it's gone.
Right.
How do you feel they did with what they were given? Somebody at Disney said, all right, we're going to get rid of Maelstrom and we're going to bring in this new IP doing pretty well called Frozen.
Yeah.
Here's where you're going to put it. Do the best you can. And that's exactly what I think they did.
I do too. The one thing I wish they could do is because in a lot of places, like it is freezing in Disney. Like when they made Guardians of the Galaxy, it is a wonderful freezing area. I wish that it could be colder in the frozen parts of it.
I think that would be a part of the immersive theming that they could have added is blasts of air, even Snoke. With cold air would have been pretty cool.
Really cold.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to number 3.
This is your favorite, and we are going to Magic Kingdom, and we are going on Jungle Cruise.
I love Jungle Cruise. It is. It's one of my favorite rides. It's the best. It's fun. It's funny.
You don't get wet.
Nope.
Which, back to Frozen, sometimes you can get wet depending on where you're sitting.
You can get a little splash.
You can. And I'm like, oh, when did Frozen become a wet ride? But Jungle Cruise, you do not, for sure. It looks like it, though, going through the elephants and stuff, and that's super fun. And, all the puns that they do, and it's a definitely fun ride,
and it's classic.
Again,
I think this is one that you can come in and not know any history behind the ride and just flat out enjoy it. You don't know who was ever involved in it or how long it's been around or anything, and it holds up so well. Again, going back to Small World, it doesn't hold up. Plain and simple. The only thing that maybe doesn't hold up in Jungle Cruise is going, oh, well, these animatronics look a little out of date, but not even that much. They've kept those up real well, and they've continued to modify kind of the story going around and some of the different scenes. And I just think it does a perfect job. And as we've always said, this is the only one on the list that can change every time slightly based on your skipper. And even when they're telling the same jokes, their delivery can differ. Their personalities differ.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So even if you get the exact same script verbatim on 2 different rides, but you have 2 different skippers, it's still 2 different experiences. And I think it does that so very, very well. Yeah. So it was hard for me to have it all the way at 3, but I think our top 2 are pretty good.
Yep.
Let's move on to number 2.
And number 2 is Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Yeah.
I think everybody's like, what?
Yeah. We got to ride twice.
We did.
So we'll go back to first day of AP previews last Thursday. And we know during cast member previews, like this has been struggling. This has had lots of downtimes, lots of breakdowns. Weather added to that on Thursday, the first preview day. So not only did it have some ride breakdown delays, it also had some weather delays. I don't believe that day. What did we figure out on that Thursday? Virtual queue for pass holders dropped at 7 a.m. It did not fill up till about 9 a.m. The ride did not first start till about almost noon. And it kept going down. We had, Rachel that was there had group 50.
And she didn't ride till 7:30
at night. Now, Friday and today, Sunday that we're recording, went much, much better.
Yes.
So Friday got up and went in 7 o'clock.
Yep.
Virtual queue, snagged it.
Yep.
And we got group number
3.
Yeah. So let's talk about virtual queue getting down there. And all of that. And I've got everything timed out that I'll be able to.
Okay.
Once you tee me up for it, I can let people know. And the reason why we're letting you know how long it takes to get to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. So, Jeremy got it. I got Tron, and we were ready. We already had coffee here. We got it, and we just left. Let's see if the 7. I want to say by 7:30 ish. Yeah. We left here.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember because it was one of those things where I was just like, all right, I got to put makeup on. I just got to get ready. And then because, a lot of times we stop at Starbucks or whatever, but we had gas. We were just ready to go. So we started driving, and we always, thank God, do really well with no traffic. So it's about 2 hours door to door. So we were pulling into Magic Kingdom around 9:30-ish.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you, do you want me to?
9:30 or 9 o'clock is when Magic Kingdom opened, correct?
Yeah. So 8:30. So here's how the day went.
Okay.
So Magic Kingdom was opening at 8:30. Now standard virtual queues like a Tron will start operating at 8:30. So we've been in the situation where we're like, it's 8:30 and our group was called. The park doesn't technically open till 9 and we're still at our resort.
Right.
And here's a lot of this is really going because of Tron and them still being, fairly strict on your times. But it's
Correct.
just letting you know what it takes to get around.
Yeah.
So, we arrived at the gate, the first gate there, where you're gonna pay parking, your parking gate at 9:24.
Oh, okay.
Right? To 9:24. We actually parked at 9:30.
Okay.
So it's a 6-minute differential already right there,
Uh-huh.
right? Then tram was there, but it was extremely full.
Mhm.
We're not that far after regular park opening, so we decided to skip the tram, which means that we had to walk
Yes, we did.
over to TTC. Now, we were in Simba,
Yes.
112,
Yep.
right there in Peter Pan, so it's not an awful walk. It's about as long as it takes for you to get off the boat and walk
I was
to
won-
Lookout Key.
I was wondering if you were going to go there.
And we timed it, and it is. It's about that same length.
And we
Walk.
were walking a little fast, and then
we walk
Jeremy.
very fast.
But then Jeremy was
Usually,
like,
yeah.
"Okay, slow down." So
Yeah.
we actually did.
Yep. So, so we were parked at 9:30, skipped the tram. We were over at TTC at the bathrooms at 9:39.
Yeah, because I had to go to the
when
restroom.
they called our group at 9:39. Okay. So I went to the bathroom. We hit security at 9:42, and we walked up to the boat at 9:44. Now, the boat was sitting there ready for us.
Yes.
Not a guarantee. So we were walking
Correct.
on that boat at 9:45.
Yes.
Right? 12 minutes later at 9:57 is when we were getting off the boat. They've
Mhm.
got to wait for the whole thing to fill up, and
Yep.
then they got to
Yep.
head all the way over to Magic Kingdom. So from there, we were actually scanning in with our
Mhm.
Magic Bands at 10 a.m., and we arrived at Tiana's Bayou Adventure at 10:08. So 45 minutes from the time we hit the parking garage. So this is just one of those, and this
Parking
goes for
garage.
anything, the parking gate.
Okay.
Sorry. Once we hit the parking gate, it was
Right.
45 minutes till we were at our destination.
Right.
And we say this a lot just to give you that example and tell you about this one specifically, but that can also go for dining reservations. I mean,
Mhm.
there is some leeway with dining reservations,
Yep.
but if you're thinking, yeah, we booked dining in the Magic Kingdom to eat lunch at noon, but we're not going to go prior. We're not going to do the morning there. We're going to rest a little bit, whatever, at the resort. So yeah, we're there at noon. So we'll do what? We'll leave the resort like 11:30, drive over?
Mm-mm.
No. You might not show up to your reservation till 12:30, 1 o'clock. Like
Yeah.
Disney says, allow 90 minutes to get from any one point to another for a reason.
Mhm.
So if it took us 45 minutes from the parking gate to be at our destination, that didn't include the drive from where we previously were. So if you had been staying even on property, it might take you 15 minutes just to get to that parking gate.
Right.
So again, right there, you're a good hour.
Mm-hmm.
And
it-
so it's just
when
something to be
they
wary of.
right, and when they recall you, you have an hour
Yeah.
or two.
You have an
2
hour. Now,
Okay.
we don't know. Tiana's has just been running so interestingly that, and I haven't seen or I haven't asked if they're accepting after your hour window. I'm guessing for AP previews, they most likely are.
I was nervous because it was group 3
Mm-hmm.
and we were still in St. Augustine gonna drive down. So I was a little nervous that we were gonna have to figure something out. But it was crazy that
Yeah.
we were at the bathrooms and then we were called.
Yeah.
So
And we arrived. They are checking. They're having you show your phone that your boarding
Mhm.
group was called to return, and then you're going to go down and
to
there
the
are two
first
checkpoints
there's
for that.
there's 2 Yep.
And then you're going to go scan your Magic Band, which
Which-
will tie your reservation and everything together. Let's talk about Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the ride.
Okay.
What did you think? Queue? What do you think of the queue area? We moved
Super
very
cute.
quickly through.
Yeah, so the very first day when we were group 3, we did on Friday was very fast. Like I mean,
It took 3 minutes from the time
I
we
started
entered
to say
get
it was
on the
okay.
ride.
It was very quick.
Yeah, which is the
it
length
was
of walking.
yeah, it was very nice because there was people behind us and they were both kind of looking too. So I felt like there was only 2 people and I started to say if Jeremy wanted to see, we could have been like, it's okay, go around us. Because then when we did get to the front and they were like, how many in your party? The boat wasn't even full.
Right.
So I was trying to take it all in and looking at the queue. I did see, I think, a rabbit on one thing. And like, I felt like there was a few nods to
There's a
Splash.
lot to take in.
There's so much to take in. Yeah. But, I loved it. So much to do with Tiana.
Yeah. As soon as you walk in, I mean, there's a whole like homage to her dad.
Mm-hmm.
All in that initial area in that workspace. You go through Tiana's kitchen,
mm-hmm.
and they're making beignets, which is super cool. And then there's this whole hallway that is like all the like newspaper clippings and certificates and like deeds and everything for Tiana's palace, like
award-winning things.
Award-winning beignets and recipes, and so there's a lot of really good detail going through it all. Here's my overall. I'm trying to think of a way to talk about it. Okay, there are no mountains in the Bayou, right? There's no mountains in the Bayou, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the timeline, the setting does not fit in Frontierland. That's fair. We can all agree on that.
Okay. Yes.
In my opinion, that is factual information, right? It's actually factual information.
Are you going to sing the song
The
too?
time that Frontierland, yes. No, I'm not. It's not allowed anymore. The time period that Frontierland would take place in Big Thunder Mountain and some of those things is not the 1920s that Tiana's takes place. It's not. And there are not mountains in the Bayou in Louisiana. 2 factual points.
Uh-huh.
We all agree. Get over it.
Okay.
Okay? Done. Get over it.
Okay.
Plain and simple. Because what I think they do with the space that they were given is an outstanding job that, for me personally, makes me forget that we're not technically in the right time period and that we're in a mountain and we shouldn't be.
Okay.
All of that went out the window for me when you're walking through the queue and when you're on the ride. The only time that I think it is so in your face is when you're walking up to it going, the Bayou? Mountain. Okay. By the time you're in the queue, you don't know.
Yeah.
You really, really don't.
Yeah.
And
what did you think of the salt mines, though, and you were...
Yeah, so you go there. I mean, and here's everybody's biggest gripe is that there's no story. Again, you're not paying attention to it or you refuse to follow along to it. Right? And I'm just going to be as nice as I can be. If you do not like that they changed Splash Mountain to this, then don't like it. Okay. Live your life. Move on. We like it. Leave us alone. Right? We're not coming into all of your social media feeds or coming to your house and your stuff and going, saying anything to you about your belief that it should still be Splash Mountain. You can believe that. Do it all you want. Quit trying to bring it into the rest of our lives. There's no need. And if you're so against this being changed from Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou Adventure, for whatever your reasoning is, don't ride it.
Yeah.
Cool. Leaves more room for the rest of us because I'm going to ride it every time. So I love the queue. I do. So the story is they're celebrating Mardi Gras. It's a year later after the events of Princess and the Frog, and Tiana's inviting everyone to a party, but she needs a band, and so they're going to go down the bayou and find a band, which is going to be comprised mostly of bayou creatures and animals, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you talk about the ride first?
So
I can get my spiel out of the way.
Are you good, bro?
Yeah.
As the kids say.
It's just, I'm at one of those points in my life, like, we can enjoy this. Let us enjoy it. You cannot like it, so don't like it. And then let's just not talk about it to each other. Let's not worry about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can converse about plenty other things that we can probably agree on. Let's focus on those.
Yeah.
Let's not focus on things that are going to bring negativity for whatever reason. Let us enjoy our thing. You enjoy whatever it is you want to do. And, go sit and wear your Splash Mountain t-shirt and remember the good days. What do you want?
I'm gonna ride Tiana's Bayou and then watch all the live action movies.
All the live action remakes. Those are ruining people's childhood as well.
Anyways, no, it was really great. When we were walking through, like, what was called the salt mines, Jeremy kind of got confused, but I'm like, well, doesn't you need salt to make things? So I was like, that's what it is. Like, I was like, that's really cool. Like, if they have their own salt mines where they get all the salt. But anyways, yeah, it was really cool. You know, you get on the ride. It's, you know, the same logs, which is great. And then, yeah, just going through the ride is really cool. There was a few places like going through the Bayou that I was a little like, I felt was a little on the plainer side.
Mm-hmm.
Simple would be the word, not plain.
Okay.
Simple.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really loved it.
Yeah.
I thought everything. I honestly really thought the buildups were better.
Yeah.
Like when you go on, you know, because the ride's the same.
Right.
So when you go, you know, down like some of the hills and the little roller coaster ride, like
Right.
I thought it was fantastic. I loved all the animatronics. The cannons were not working, so I don't know if they took them out or if they are going to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't going on when we went on it. When we went on it Friday, we got splashed.
Yeah.
I will say that. We were not wet, really wet. It felt good because it was so hot. Today, when we went on it, the guy getting off, and we were on the front row this time, the guy getting off, I was like, oh, he's really
he was
wet.
drenched. We got pretty wet.
And so did we.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to depend, I guess, on, I don't know what, to be honest.
It's always been dependent on that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just getting down at a point into like, I feel like mathematics.
Probably.
I mean, and a lot of it, especially on some of the interior areas,
great.
whether how much you might get splashed or
Right.
not. You know, there are certain areas where the front of the boat hits at the right time, and as that goes and splashes against a rock and ricochets back at you, is not the same every time.
Right.
So it definitely can vary
Yeah.
in those types of things. I loved it.
Yep.
You know, I loved Splash Mountain. And I love Splash Mountain. One of my favorite rides. But I love Splash Mountain so much for the ride, the way that the ride operated.
Correct.
Not necessarily the theming of it.
Right.
You know, I just,
Or the story.
Right, or the story. I loved this ride system so very much.
Yep.
And now to bring in my favorite princess movie and, you know, like my favorite princess into a system that I already loved, I knew it was going to be a winner for me.
Yeah.
I think, is it a perfect ride? No.
Right.
Did they do everything they could, again, with the space given? 100%.
Right.
When somebody went to Imagineering and said, we are going to change over Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and they were like, all right, how do we work with that space? And kind of, again, make people forget that there are no mountains. Make people forget that this isn't the right time period or whatever. I think they did it. The way that they said, all right, does Guardians of the Galaxy belong in Epcot? No. Well, we're going to make it. Okay, go for it. And then you're like, oh, they actually did. They made it fit. They made you understand why it's there.
Right.
And they did that with this.
Yeah.
I think the scenes are beautiful. They are. It's definitely darker overall.
Yeah.
But you are going through the bayou, and most of it is lit by fireflies.
Super cute.
The animatronics are outstanding.
They are. So Friday when we rode, there was a lot of animatron. I'm not going to say a lot because there was quite a few now.
So it's the full section of when you get into the shooting water area, you know, where it used to be the frogs were spitting the water back and forth. So it's in that area. It's all basically like a frog area, the lily pads and everything, and none of those were working at that point. And then we got to the final. There's a final Mama Odie animatronic that was not working on the first ride. This morning, the only thing out of all of them that was not working was Tiana's mouth movement on the initial animatronic, but the body movements were working.
And her voice and everything.
Yeah, and all of that was
so today's ride to me was way better. I was super happy we got to ride it again. Even Jeremy was saying that if we couldn't, we would have like probably watched a ride through again. Just because when we did it Friday morning, like it was Friday morning, and then I was like, oh gosh, like I think my brain was like, we might not ride till a lot later. And I just was like, oh my goodness, like we're done. And I'm like, we could go home, but we still have 2 nights.
Well, and on that first ride, you're trying to take everything in, like 100%. Anything. You know, you're trying to take all this information 100%. In. You're looking at everything. Like I remember getting off the first time we rode it, and like an hour later, I was like, I didn't even recognize the new song at the end, Special Spice. I was like, I didn't even hear a note of it. I wasn't conscious for it because I was focused on looking at everything. Yeah. So first of all, animatronics are stunning. Mm-hmm. They're amazing. They're so fluid. The movements, they look so good. They look realistic. It is bringing that, super cool. that 2D image from the movies into life, and they've done such a great job of it. Mm-hmm. I think there's 28 new animatronics, something like that.
Oh wow!
To me, it still has a lot of that, especially in that area with the frogs, right? So there's a point where Mama Odie shrinks you down, and I figured out kind of what happened today because I didn't understand that portion at first. The first time we rode it, I was like, "Why are we all of a sudden shrunk down to the size of a frog and we're underground?" And so there's a moment where Mama Odie does that so that you can basically go under to help fill out the rest of this band with all these frogs. It's basically what's happening before she's going to bring you back to your regular size and you're going to go to the drop and all that good stuff. But in that area, to me, paid complete homage to Splash Mountain in the feel of it. Now, it was darker, but to the feel of it, to the way that the animatronics are done, it was still that very classic Disney feel. And so I thought that they did a really good job with that. I think the build up to the drop and everything leading up with Mama Odie is done very, very well. I think it's a little anticlimactic leading into the drop. I think that more could have been done with that full, that full rise is where everybody, and they're right. Again, they're right about it. Dr. Facilier, right? And the music and you're getting ready to go to the other side. It's genius. But that's not where they decided to fit this story in because they wanted an extenuation. Dr. Facilier is not here anymore, right?
Right.
So I think a little bit more could have been done there potentially,
right,
with some lights and some color. But it's basically the moment that she's bringing you back to regular size. And then you go down the drop. And then when you come to this finale scene,
it was really cool.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It is absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
There's an addition of screens that I think some moments they do rely too heavily on them.
Okay.
I think the screen portion in it is best used in the areas of the bayou with the fireflies. At the moment where we see all the fireflies coming by, we see like Grandma and all those.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's well used there. I think that they overuse it slightly with some of the additional things that maybe just couldn't be done as animatronics, but I think they work very well.
Yeah.
The breakdowns, I think what's occurring is because this is timed so perfectly with the boats. So a lot of these rides are just on repeat. You can catch the exact same thing twice. These, as far as I can tell, and again, I've stayed so far away from the details because I didn't want anything ruined. I'll go look at them now. From what I can tell, are timed with each arriving boat. So as you're approaching, for example, Tiana as an animatronic, she's not just going through her spiel with no boat next to her. It's a trigger point in the sensor when you arrive at a certain point that she says her spiel to your boat specifically. You move on. She is stopped. Now, she's still moving. I don't know why I'm putting my hands in all in the air. Nobody can
like
see
you don't
me
care.
Right now. Yeah. She's still moving. She's still animated, but it's waiting for that trigger point to say, let me say my line. And that's how all the animatronics are done. So if an animatronic in a point does break down, I'm guessing they're saying we need to take the whole ride down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think it is this combination of the boats, the sensors, the animatronics. So I think that's where it's coming. It's same, Rise of the Resistance. There's so many moving parts.
Right.
But sometimes when one of those moving parts goes down, it affects 10 other moving parts.
Right.
So while you may think, okay, this one animatronic isn't working right now, why are they shutting the whole ride down? There most likely is a reason because it is affecting many other points in the system.
Right.
But I love it. I think it's an amazing addition. I think it's a wonderful replacement. for Splash Mountain.
Mhm.
It's fun, it's bright, it's colorful. It does have a story.
Yeah.
It's
cute.
I love it.
Yep.
I absolutely love it.
Yep.
And it'll continue on my list. And I will tell you this right now, just so you don't think that I'm biased because it's Tiana and all. I think Splash Mountain, for me personally, would have sat in the number 2 position as well.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing moved this up or made it better
or
worse than Splash Mountain for me. I think it is such a wonderful replacement.
It's still the same ride. That's what the hardest part is to me. Like it's just that same ride system and everything that where I think I don't understand why. I guess it's not like they took it out and took out the drop, took out this or took out that or shortened it.
Because most of the people aren't focusing on the ride system; they're focusing on the content.
Oh, okay,
and that's where the focus is the content. And so that's where that's where all the backlash comes from. You know, and yeah, I don't know if Disney had said, you know what, we're going to tear the entire mountain to the ground and make it a singular level Bayou true thing. I don't know. I don't know where some of those folks would stand, where they wouldn't.
I feel like that'd
be
sad. I'd be really sad.
It's such a beautiful fixture.
It is.
The outside of it is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
they did a good job.
One more thing I will touch on, just to show that I am honest and fair. I do think that they cheaped out on a lot of the interior signage. So the sign out front is beautiful. It's what you expect from like Disney, and it's a beautiful sign out front. As you start to go in, some of the Tiana's food signs are flat, and they look temporary.
Maybe they are
some of those that I do agree. I mean, even when you get down to the "you may get wet" sign, I could crank that out on my vinyl, Cricut here in 5 minutes,
right?
As opposed to what we got used to with stuff like Splash Mountain, Country Bears, a lot of those around there where there's hand carved signs, something that you much more, I think, would have seen back in that time period of a local craftsman, building, making this sign or something for Tiana's different things like Tiana's foods. So it was the only thing that felt a little bit cheaped out on, but I thought every other detail was there. I mean, the story they're telling by printing out award-winning beignet certificates in the deed for the Tiana's Palace building. And I mean, they spent so much time that a couple signs that maybe could have been better are easy to overlook, in my opinion.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, there's only one left. One will reign supreme, and I just don't think that you can beat this.
Yeah, and that is Pirates of the Caribbean. I love it. I love this too because you could get wet on this with the cannons. I love that scene. This is just again iconic. This is, this is Disney.
It's the best boat ride.
Yeah,
it's the best.
It is
that we have and that we've been able to go on. Obviously the one in Disneyland is better,
right?
But this is the best boat ride that we have in Central Florida, I feel like. And it's just, again, it's classic. It holds up, and I think that even some of those minor adjustments and putting things like Jack Sparrow in there, those are the ones that I don't feel took away from any of the originality.
Right.
But it adds for the younger generation. So they're spanning this gap. Now, it is funny when you go in there now after seeing the fluid motions of a Tiana's, and I think, imagine if they built Pirates of the Caribbean today.
Yeah.
Imagine. But
then it would break down all the time.
It would suffer all those same problems.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with all the animatronics that are in there, it's insane.
Yeah.
But this is one again from queue to the actual ride to all the individual scenery to the music. Every part of this ride is pretty much perfect. I mean, and this is when we do our top rides, this usually falls second to Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Because that just can't be beat for us on every level. But Pirates of the Caribbean hits all those points.
Yeah.
Super down
fun.
to the soundtrack. And going back to Tiana's, I'll have to go listen to the full Special Spice song. I know it's wonderful, but you don't get enough of a snippet.
Oh, no.
But everything else leading up to it, you recognize.
Yeah.
Dig a little deeper and all those types of things. But yeah, Pirates is just goat boat.
Oh, Lord.
It's the goat boat.
Okay.
Make
You're
a good shirt,
funny.
right? But
Sure.
we will be back for the official opening of Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Yep.
And so that'll be super exciting. We'll bring all that to you. Hopefully, you guys in the Main Street Magic community on Facebook enjoyed the live streams that we did this past weekend. We'll be doing a lot more of those in the parks, including our trip down for the opening of Tiana's.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're down there, we also is the opening of merchandise and the food.
Woohoo!
So we're super excited. We got
Super
2
excited.
days to see all the merch and try all the food and hopefully ride Tiana's as much as we can. So I'm
Yay.
excited for that. But if you want all of that, you can follow us on social media at Main ST Magic. That is on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can catch us on TikTok at MSM Podcast. Of course, if you hit the subscribe button, get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. This Friday's episode will be the rest of the trip review, which included a stay at Riverside, included Cape May Cafe for dinner. It included lunch at Bar Riva with new items. It included Ohana at dinner and breakfast at Steakhouse 71.
Woohoo!
So we are full, and your ears are going to be full hearing about all that. So that will be Friday's episode. And of course, as long as you are out there, we would be super thankful if you could please leave us a rating and review.
Because it helps our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.